Welcome to the Elk Talk Podcast with Randy Newberg and Corey Jacobson. Presented by the Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation.
The goal is, what little you and I know about elk hunting, we share with people.
I've got an elk building, it's like 120 yards away. What do I do? First off, the thought would never cross my mind when an elk's being 120 yards away to call anybody on a cell phone.
All elk?
All the time? Only elk?
Only elk.
Well, it's us having conversations, so we usually go down some rabbit holes, but
if you hunt with Corey Jacobson, you will find the landscape is full of rabbit holes. We're just going to make this up as we go.
And you look at it like, oh, that's a target-rich environment. But if you're trying to single one out, a solo target there is much easier to go into than a big group.
We record everything, so there's no BSing, no lying, no faking it with us.
Did we hit the record button?
I forgot to hit the record button. If you want to know something about elk hunting, this probably isn't the podcast to listen to. Should we give them a list of all the other podcasts where they might learn something? The Elk Talk Podcast is brought to you by the Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation, ensuring the future of elk, other wildlife, their habitat, and our hunting heritage. To become a member, go to rmef.org.
And the podcast is also brought to you by onX Maps. And with onX Maps, you can know where you stand with the most accurate hunting GPS tech on the market with land ownership maps that work offline. Go to onxmaps.com and use promo code ELKTALK, and you're going to save 20% when you sign up for an app membership at onxmaps.com.
The podcast is also brought to you by Gerber. Go to gerbergear.com and learn about the knives, the Vital, the Big Game Vital, the Gator Premium, all the things that we use when we're out in the woods, and not just knives, but also some really cool multi-tools that they have.
We're also proud to partner with Sitka Gear, and if you go to sitkagear.com, you'll see their full line of clothing, and their tagline is turning clothing into gear, and they are doing that through advanced technology that allows you to stay in the field longer, hunt harder, and stay safer.
The Elk Talk Podcast is also brought to you by GoHunt.com. Go to GoHunt.com and sign up for the Insider. The Insider is changing how hunts and hunting information are found. No doubt about that. Use promo code ELKTALK, and when you sign up for the Insider, you're going to get $50 of store credit, mad money, in their gear shop.
And we are also brought to you by Rocky Mountain Hunting Calls. And Rocky Mountain Hunting Calls is the original designer and inventor of the pallet plate diaphragm that's completely changed the way elk calls are made and used. And to find out more and to order your elk calls, go to RockyMountainHuntingCalls.com or BuglingBull.com and use promo code ELKTALK, and you're going to save 15% on all of your elk calls and elk call accessories.
And with that, Corey, we are ready to get into it.
Let's jump into it.
All right, folks. I told you that Corey had bailed on me today. Really, he didn't bail. He's not feeling that well. So I'm here trying my best to carry on conversations that's not going to bore all you to death. And since Corey told me not to talk about Dairy Queen or marital advice, I don't have much left to talk about. But I've got a guest here from the local area. We're doing this from the Western Hunting and Conservation Expo in Salt Lake. And Jason, you're from Ogden?
Yep, that's correct.
Jason Loftus, right? I got that right?
You got it right.
I when I see it written, I always want to say Loftus.
A lot of people do.
Do they?
Yep.
All right. So I asked you, I said, what do you want to talk about? And you said elk. I said, well, that's a good thing because the podcast is called Elk Talk. So Utah elk, can we talk Utah elk?
Let's talk Utah elk, yeah.
All right. Are you really, how do I say, protective about what, can we say units and stuff like that?
Sure, yeah, I don't have any. Here's the deal.
You're on the waiting list.
I'm on the waiting list. I'm a public land hunter. So, I'm like the rest of the guys. So there's no secrets, right?
Yeah. Well, I was lucky. I drew an archery tag here in 2014.
Uh-huh.
I didn't expect that. I was on the alternate list. I don't know if people know that if someone turns a tag back, you might end up on the alternate list.
Yep.
It cracked me up. I come home and there's a message on my phone. There's a long story as to why I still have a landline. We don't have to go into that, but I come in from my afternoon hike and there's this message, I'm so-and-so from Utah DWR. You're the alternate. Would you like this elk tag that's been turned in? I thought it was a crank call. So I ended up saying, yeah, I'll take that. But
what unit did you end up hunting?
South Cache.
Oh, okay.
And I had a great time. I went the last part of the season because you guys have your seasons open here in, I think, like August 20th or something for archery.
For archery, mid-August to mid-September.
Yeah. And so I'd planned the last week and I'd hunted 4 days and was starting to feel like, all right, I'm getting it dialed in. And then my wife got sick and had to have an emergency surgery, so I had to go home and I missed the last 3 days. But she tells me, she's like, oh, I feel bad. I said, no, you gave me an excuse now as to why I didn't fill my Utah tag, because odds were I wasn't going to fill it anyhow, as bad of a hunter as I am. But anyhow, you're on the waiting list. What's it like to be a Utah hunter and you guys have really great elk hunting, but it's hard to get a tag? And when you get one, like you, so when did you?
So I drew a tag in 2012.
Okay.
So I drew a Mount Dutton bull tag, a rifle tag, on a whim. I just put in because my brother-in-law had put in for the archery tag that same year, and drew him and my nephew.
Okay.
So the plan was I'll put in for a rifle tag. We're hunting for his tag, and if I'm going to learn a ton about the unit.
Right.
And so I just happened to draw. I was blown away. Got really lucky with 6 points, which is pretty unheard of, right?
Yeah.
So
especially that unit.
Exactly. And that was back in the day, right, when it was still pumping out some pretty good bulls.
Right.
And anyways, we had a really good hunt, learned a lot about the unit, and then I ended up connecting on opening morning of the rifle hunt, because the rifle hunt here in Utah is right basically during the rut. It's that third week of September, basically.
That's crazy.
Which is crazy, right? But
there are a series of November hunts that are late rifle hunts.
Correct. Yeah.
The high demand is for...
Well, yeah, why not, right? Hunting elk with a rifle in the heat of the rut. It's like,
in Utah.
Success rates are pretty high.
I bet. Yeah, sign me up. But it's interesting to see how you guys manage for your elk based on age class of harvested bulls.
Yes.
Is what your criteria is that you try to meet.
Yeah.
That results in some really old
age
elk.
class bulls, and it depends on the unit, right? I think now, and I don't know enough about the specifics of each of the units to know which ones are managed for trophy class, which ones are managed more for opportunity. Yeah. But they have made a distinction there, from what I understand. So if you want to put in and put the time in and wait and try to draw that premium tag, you still have that opportunity. But a lot of the units that used to be trophy units are now more opportunity units.
Right, yeah.
So they've lowered the age class, they've allowed more tags, things like that.
Yeah, I think when I had the South Cache, that was one of those units that they have a targeted harvested age class between 5 and 6.5 or something, 5.5, 6.5, something like that.
Yeah.
But I still had a ton of fun. There was nobody there.
Yeah.
Well, I had the place all to myself. I thought, is season closed or what's the gig
Checking
here?
Your dates. Am I supposed to be here?
Yeah. But in your real life, you have a real job just like I do.
Yes, I do. I have to. That's just the way it is now.
But you do a lot of other stuff in the elk and hunting and anything outdoor world.
Yes, I do.
Let's tell the folks what that is.
My passion is the outdoors in general, right? I love elk. It's my favorite. Mule deer and sheep have become a close second for me. The sheep are just amazing. I've fallen in love with sheep. We could go down that path. But,
let's stop there. Because us Montana guys, we're always the brunt of every sheep joke. So when you say you've fallen in love with sheep, we'll just stop right there.
Exactly. But so a lot of my passion is in photography now. Yeah. I still love to hunt. I just look at it, as hunting either way. I'm hunting with my bow or I'm hunting with my camera. Yeah. But that's kind of what got me into photography was wildlife, or the wildlife photography is the hunting. Yeah. And then I've just taken that and ran with it. So it allows me to be in the field a lot more often, which my wife loves, by the way. Right? I'm talking about marital advice. My wife says to me sometimes, like, can't you just go back and hunt? And, let's put the camera down. You know? So, but anyways.
So do you sell a lot of your images commercially? Or?
I've had some success that way. I've worked with some good organizations and had some success that way. But I sell a few prints here and there too.
Yeah.
Through my Instagram account and stuff like that.
Which is
Untamed Images.
Untamed Images.
Yes. So
Instagram
Go and there, Facebook.
Follow it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you.
Yeah. Facebook, it's the same.
Same thing. Yep.
All right. So one of the things when Corey and I were talking about having you on here is trying to, and since he bailed out, I get to, I don't have to listen to Corey's input about what we want to talk about.
Yeah, so it's all to you.
It's all me. But one of the things we were thinking about is how, like you said, that doing your photography work is like hunting with a camera.
Yeah.
Or hunting, but with a camera.
Sure.
A lot of things you're learning or that you see that you apply from photography to hunting.
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely. So, and the other way around, right? I think one of the things that's been kind of a nice thing for me as I entered into wildlife photography was understanding animal behavior, right?
Yeah.
And understanding how to get close, and understanding their where to be when I want to get a certain shot, things like that. And you don't get that any other way than just spending time with them, and watching their behaviors. And when you can spend a whole week during the elk rut with bull elk that are somewhat tolerant, and the cows, and be like literally with them and just be there all day, every day. And watch the behaviors, watch the interactions, watch the raghorns coming in trying to take cows, watch how the bulls react, watch how they herd them. All those behaviors is, it's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
And not a lot of guys take the time to do that if they're, not doing something like that. So.
No, I'm guilty of that. I go and I film my tag and then I'm done.
Yeah. Off to the next one, right?
So it's as much of a learning experience as it is.
Well, and even winter range bulls, trying to get them before they're dropping their antlers, and they're watching their winter behaviors, which is pretty boring, actually. But,
they get up, they feed, they lay down,
they feed. They get up, they feed, they lay down. Yeah, pretty much. But,
so when you're a photographer, do you ever look at guys like me who aren't and say, if you would have taken 2 extra minutes, you could have really had a nice photograph there?
Oh, absolutely.
Do you?
It's funny. So I have a really good friend. His name's Bill Allard. And
yeah, I follow a bunch of Bill's stuff online.
He's an amazing guy. And he's 78, just turned 78. His birthday was last week, and he's still out there getting after it. And it's awesome. I mean, he's like my idol that way, right?
I love his pronghorn. He must go to Wyoming somewhere. Does he?
Yep.
His pronghorn pictures, and I'm a pronghorn, though we're on Elk Talk, are great. Yeah,
he actually spends a lot of time setting up blinds and was helping other guys. He was on, I'll forget the forum, but guys would come out west here, and he would help them fill their antelope tags if they drew a tag in Wyoming. And then he got to the point with his hunting where he'd killed so much stuff that he just got to a point where he said, I am not going to kill an animal unless I can get its picture first.
Oh,
so
wow.
he was constantly challenging him. Started with a rifle, went to a bow, and then he got to a point where it's like, I'm not killing it unless I can get a photo first.
The before and after.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive, right? So and then he got to a point where he just is, I'd just rather shoot him with a camera.
Yeah.
So he's at that point in his life now. But
so as someone who produces outdoor media, I get the question all the time: what camera should I buy? And most of them are asking me from the standpoint of
videography.
But 2 of my videographers are really, really talented still image guys. But I don't know how far we want to go into this or how much we want to say. Better watch it. Somebody's here. Your fan club is here. They want a picture with you or an autograph or something.
Yeah, right.
But I'm sure there are a ton of questions that come your way about, Jason, what should I buy for a camera? What should I have for this? And the thing I find is everybody wants something that does it all. Well, I want to take video from really up close, wide angle out to 400 yards. Well, how many lenses do you want to carry with you?
Exactly.
How many bodies you want? But so I don't know if in what you do that if you get a lot of that.
I do. I get a lot of questions. A lot of guys will reach out to me and say, what's a good starter? I'm a Nikon guy, so I know Nikon equipment pretty well. I know a little bit about the Canon and the Sony stuff.
Yeah.
And I know Sony, as far as video, Sony's like a lot of guys love the Sony for that stuff, right?
That's what we use. We use all Sony stuff.
Yeah.
For video.
And it does an amazing job, right?
Yeah.
But I think it's hard to find that one all solution.
You won't find it in the video world,
I just don't think you will, yeah.
Can you in the still image world?
No, I mean, unless you're, like I said, depending on what you're looking for, right? If you want to just have a nice high-end point and shoot that'll zoom out 1,000 times X or whatever, and you're okay with that, then your quality is going to be a little bit less, but that might be fine for guys. So what I try to do is ask guys, what are you trying to do, right? What do you want to accomplish with what you're trying to get?
Yeah.
And I just tell them up front, you're not going to get the one solution for everything. You're not. Yeah. It just doesn't exist. So
you're going to compromise something on low light or something on action or something on distance or whatever. Yep.
And a lot of guys have this misnomer about, I carry around a big old 500 millimeter lens a lot. It's my favorite lens because of the depth I get and the color and so on. But they think that you've got this big lens, it's bigger than a spotting scope.
Right.
So they're thinking, oh, you can see it, you can get a picture of an animal a mile away. And it's like, no, I still got it on an elk. I still got to be about 50 yards to get a good image. People don't understand that. It's like, I still got to be in archery range, to get a good image. So
with a 500
with a 500 millimeter. Yeah. So guys, it's funny this perception that people have about things and that. But
So when you see someone like me who's always in a hurry, oh, I don't want this to spoil. It's hot. I got to get this elk taken care of. I'm sure you look at composition and say, if you would have done this, if you would have cleaned the background out and out of the you don't need 4 packs and 2 rifles laying in the background. If you would have tucked the tongue, there's. Do you have a cheat sheet list of hunting photography for dummies?
So one of the things that got me to start getting a good camera to begin with was that kill shot. That taking that trophy shot, if you will, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
To celebrate that, the accomplishment. But a lot of the basic things you learn is just that, like we carry wipes in our pack now. And because you want it to be clean. Right. You don't want a bunch of blood everywhere. You don't want tongues hanging out. You don't want, there's just some basic things. If you just take a minute and think about it, right?
Yep.
And take those wipes and clean the blood off the mouth and to tuck the tongue in and pose the animal, tuck the knees up under and, trying to pose it. And don't, this is just my opinion, so Taver was where don't play the game of sitting 10 feet behind it and all that garbage. Come on. Everybody knows. All you have to do is look at the ears and get a perspective. It's not a 45-inch buck. Come on.
It's so funny you say that because I see that and instantly I think to myself, well, this person shot something they wish they hadn't.
Yeah, exactly.
Or they thought they were supposed to shoot something bigger.
Correct.
And so they thought, well, I'll stand 12 yards behind it.
Exactly.
Some
of my favorite photos I see out there are the ones where they're playing around with like a groundhog or something, and you got the guy way back, and it looks like this, 500-pound squirrel or something. Right? I love that stuff. It just, just respect the animal and try to, that's to me, just think about that. Think about grass that's sticking up. Think about those kind of things. Think about your background.
Right.
Think about shadows and light.
Right. So let's go into shadows and light. Do you want the subject with the sun in their face or the sun at their back?
Sun in your face.
Sun in your face.
That's my opinion.
Okay.
It depends, I think, a little bit. If you were like, say you shot it right at dusk, right? And you get this beautiful sunset. And the only way you can get that sunset is to turn and face it, and you got the sunset behind you, right? In that situation, that can make an amazing photo, right? An amazing photo.
Yeah.
And you might want to use some fill flash for something like that, so you can get but you still get the sunset. So, there's a lot of things to think about when you're out there, and to have an animal like that, especially a trophy for you, and to have those kind of scenarios where you got the scenery or the sunset or sunrise or whatever, take advantage of it, because that doesn't happen all the time, So you can't recreate that, So
no, and so this is stuff I've learned with my crew being photographers, whereas I'm just a hurry up. I took a picture. Well, let's move on.
We're good. Let's go. Yeah.
I've got some amazing memories that I wished I would have taken 5 minutes to take better photographs.
Absolutely.
That all the things you've already mentioned.
Different angles, different poses, different everything, right?
Yeah.
Can't take too many.
Right. Yeah. I'm now lucky where I have somebody just walking around taking images because you always have that reflective moment kind of feeling that you have, at least for me, when I walk up to an animal at first I have oh my gosh, can you believe this happened? Like, I'll use, for example, I had a Henry Mountain archery bison tag here in Utah this year. And when I first walked up to it, it was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe a dream came true. And then I have this kind of thankful, grateful appreciation moment. And then it's back to the holy cow. And I'm lucky to have a crew that's there taking images. So we get a little bit of all that.
Capture your emotions and stuff too, right?
Yeah.
And it's real. It's the moment.
It's what's going through my mind at that time. And then also we try all kinds of different angles. We'll have some from the side, some from the front. We've really focused on showing people the utilization of the meat and the whole animal. Yeah. And that requires a different level of consideration of how you do it tastefully.
Sure.
Tastefully meat. We're photographing meat tastefully.
Yeah, there you go.
But for me, in my imagery, I want people to know we eat this stuff. This is our primary motivation for hunting. And we get hammered. Like yesterday on Valentine's Day, I had that bison heart, and it's so big, and there was an angle that made it look almost like a Valentine heart, and we'd cleaned it off. But needless to say, Instagram wasn't real pleased with that image. But so when people are doing these photography things, another one I often hear of is, should the animal and the hunter be skylined or not skylined? Sometimes you can't do anything about it, but they say if it can be, skyline it.
Sure. I mean, I like both. You know, I think a lot of it's just thinking about your background. And, you know, skylines are awesome. One of my favorite type of photos to take with wildlife is skyline shots. Okay. You know, when I see a skyline shot unfolding, I'm all about it, especially if you've got some good background back behind it, some depth or some good clouds or scenery or good, you know, sunrise, sunset, all that stuff. One of my favorite things is like the silhouetted skyline for wildlife. Right. Maybe not so much for a trophy shot, but but having that, you know, having that skyline with some good color or, you know, anything like that, yeah, absolutely, if you can. Yeah. If you can get away with it. But to me, it's all about just, okay, you got the animal down, look at where you're at, look what you have, you know, look what's available. Right. You know, if I drag this thing, and I can, if it's not an elk, if it's a deer or something, and I can drag this thing, you know, 20 yards to the right and get some good you know, photos because of the scenery, the backdrop, whatever, then do it. You know, take the time to do it. You know?
So do you run into people saying, don't be taking images of those landscapes? I know you're going to tell the whole world where you're at.
Oh, yeah, you get that a lot. But you know what? Like I said, here in Utah, if a guy draws a tag, I mean, you've heard this story. You've probably seen it. You know, when we did our hunt, you know, it was a family thing, you know, and so you got, you know, 5 to 10 guys with you that are helping you spot, helping you, you know, and it's because everybody wants to be a part of it. Even if they don't draw the tag, they want to be a part of the experience. So, you know, even though I've only drawn one limited entry elk tag in Utah, I've been a part of probably 7 or 8 different limited entry hunts. Yeah. You know, being a glasser, packer, whatever, right? So, you know, that's just, that's what it's all about.
Yeah. So do you think as hunters so you're telling, I'm going to back up before I ask the question. You're telling stories with mostly still images. Yeah. To tell a whole story, it seems like there's a lot more than just that culmination of that, oh, here it's dead, let me take a trophy photo.
Yeah. Well, especially with one photo, it's real tough to tell a hunting story, right? Yeah. Which I'm sure, you know, you've come to learn with your guys following you around, right? But I have gotten more into that, where I like to just carry a camera with me and try to capture emotions, glassing, the scenery you're seeing, why they're glassing, you know, all those things that you see in a lot of, you know, different type of Instagram accounts or whatever, you know, like lifestyle, whatever you want to call it, photography. But, you know, it's tough to tell a story with one photo from a hunting standpoint, and you're not going to really tell the whole story when it's a kill shot. But you can do that through, you know, a few images. And I think if you can try to do that in tell a whole hunt story in 10 images, that's pretty impressive. Right. You know, and it's possible, but you really got to think about what's the story you're telling before you go do it. Yeah. And I'd say that even with just my wildlife shots, you know, that's a lot of trying to have what I want to capture in my mind before I even go on the field is a big part of it. Trying to plan ahead and know this fall I want to really focus on bugling shots with a certain type of or skyline or whatever, right? Just pick, you know. But whatever you have in your mind, if you have that in your mind, then as you're watching things unfold in the wild, you can be in the right place to capture that. Same thing with a hunting photo, right?
Yep.
If you're on this hunt and you know what you want to capture, as you see it unfold, you can be there to get that shot. So
yeah. So one thing I've found is if I have a camera that's more available to me, I tend to take a lot more images.
Absolutely.
And
if it's in your pack, you're never going to take it out.
Yeah. My camera guys have these little things that go on their
packs.
Their pack called the cotton carrier.
Cotton carrier.
Is that what cotton carrier? You use the same thing?
I love it. Yeah.
So it fits to the bottom mounting bracket of your camera.
Yep.
And it just slides on your
and it locks
shoulder
on, so
strap.
Sit it, at an angle and drop it down, and it's locked in there.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah. And I'll look over, and they are taking images all the time, and I'm thinking, their camera's right there. So
it's easy to
access.
I
know a lot of guys who are hunting, they're not going to mess with that.
Yeah.
They're going to be like, no, I'm here to hunt. But the storytelling for me.
Yeah, go ahead.
We do it in video, but it's getting to be the part that I enjoy, especially in the off season. I go look through old photos or old videos. I'm like, oh yeah, that was fun.
Yeah. Yeah, well, you get to reminisce, right?
Right.
And a lot of my photos, even though they might just be a portrait of an elk or something, every one of them has a story behind it,
Yeah.
And even though it may just be a portrait for most people, for me, it brings back who I was with, the experiences we had. It's a lot of times we go out as buddies and shoot together. It's not just, it's like, it'd be a lot like hunting in general, right? Your hunting party, right? Mm-hmm. You got your buddies that you're hunting with or whatever, and you're just the same thing, and you have those same experiences. You still get to cook and all that, all that stuff. It's all part of the experience. So.
Yeah. So if someone wanted to get a good quality camera that is going to be something that they could have quite a few applications for out in the hill. Can they get into it for under $1,000?
Yeah, I think you can. Yeah. I mean, focusing back on Nikon gear, what a lot of folks, when they ask me, I'll tell them, I think it's the D3500 now, whatever version they're up to, 34, 35. But, that's a great entry-level camera. It comes with a couple kit lenses, and you can get that thing for right about $500-$600 with the kit lenses, and it's you can shoot in manual, you can shoot in RAW, it'll connect any of the Nikon lenses to it, so on and so forth. So it's a great little starter kit, and you don't have to spend a ton of money. If you're thinking you might like it, go spend $500-$600 and play with it and see if you like it. And then of course, if you get addicted like I am, then you end up spending a lot more money on it, and it never ends, right? But,
So when you live in Utah and you're in the penalty box, I call it, because I'm in the penalty box for elk. So folks, don't think we mean that we're like we got our hunting privileges taken away. It's a slang term used in some of these states for being on the waiting list. In my home state of Montana, if you draw a moose, goat, or sheep, you got a 7-year wait. I think in Nevada they have waiting periods.
I think so.
You guys,
in Utah, it's 5 years.
Yeah, I just got off. I think the deer waiting list is it 3 years?
I think it's 5 for elk and deer. I don't know.
Is it?
I don't know. But I know I know elk is 5 because I just got off of it.
Okay.
So I can start putting in for elk again this year.
So do you travel to other states to fulfill your elk hunting addiction, or do you just...
From a photography standpoint, yes.
Okay.
But I have points in other states, and so my kids, we have some pretty good points built up in Wyoming for pronghorn, for elk, and for deer.
Okay.
So over the next 2-3 years, I plan on taking my boys and going and having some good experiences.
Oh, cool.
So yeah.
Cool.
I'm looking forward to that. So.
Yeah. So do you tag along? You said you've been on like 7 or 8 hunts here.
Yeah. Yeah, archery and rifle, it just varies. But a few of them in that Dutton unit that I drew, because guys reach out to you once you've been on the unit and they see that you've been successful, right? Then they start asking questions, and you know.
So. Corey and I were talking about this a while back, and I'd be interested to know what your thought is, because in Utah you apply for years and years and years to get a tag, or you luck out, like you said, after what, 6 years?
6 years, yeah.
Did you feel a lot of pressure when you had the tag?
Yeah, you put a lot of pressure on yourself, right? And you really try not to, right? You really try not to, but how can you not when it's, And so you get why everybody thinks if they draw a Utah tag, you expect to kill that 380, 400-inch bull, right? Yeah. Because they are out there. But what a lot of guys don't realize is they're not out there behind every bush like a lot of guys think,
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I was pretty pumped with what I connected with. I was fortunate. I saw the bull. I told myself I was just going to try to get a bull that I liked, that appealed to me. I didn't care about score. I didn't even try to score him before he hit the ground. I saw him. I liked him. I shot him, and he was a good bull.
Cool.
You know what I mean? So yeah, But you can put a lot of pressure on yourself if you
have you. I've done it to myself. I drew an early rifle elk hunt in Arizona for Unit 10. I put a lot of pressure on myself. I'm like, oh man.
I remember you talking about that.
Yeah. So the value of having that tag was, I shot a nice bull, but I don't think I enjoyed the experience as much as I could have.
Yeah.
Because it was the first real glory tag I'd ever had.
Yeah.
And I put so much pressure on myself. It's like, now thinking back on it, I just, within a year, I was thinking, oh, Randy, why didn't you just go there and do what, like Jason just explained, why didn't you just go and say, yeah, that one looks good? Because the very first day I passed a bull, I wish I would have shot. To this day, it's like, oh, man. But we'd seen this one scouting that was just behemoth.
Yeah.
I mean, he was big.
Yeah.
And so I had that in my head.
Yeah.
Well, opening morning, here comes a really nice bull. He was narrow, really long beams, really long tines, and he just wanted to get shot. And I didn't shoot him.
He was begging you to.
Yeah.
And you didn't.
And now I'm like, oh, Randy.
When you look back on it, right? Why didn't I just shoot that bull?
Yeah. But I rationalize it by saying, well, I got to hunt an extra 5 days.
Yeah.
Well,
and that's part of it, right?
So.
But did you enjoy those 5 days? Right, that's the question, right?
Yeah. Every day the pressure felt a little heavier and a little heavier and a little heavier. But you said you shot yours on the first
opening day, yeah. So I mean, I didn't honestly have that problem just because opening morning, we had kind of patterned the elk and knew they were kind of crossing in this one area, and it just came together. I mean, I'm just being real, right? Just right place, right time. It came together. Yeah. So
So you're going to tell me that it was this trick and this strategy and this idea, and if you don't buy this, you're never going to shoot one.
Nope,
none of that.
Nope, none of that.
Oh, you don't have a place in the TV world, then. Come on, Jason.
Sorry, man.
You got to have something more than that. Nobody in our line of work says, "Well, I just said right place, right time."
I'm just trying to be real, I guess. No, I will say that with my brother-in-law's hunt, we hunted hard for. I mean, I think I put 10 days into his hunt of full time plus weekends and stuff, and so we learned a lot about the elk, right? So, like I said, understanding their patterns and their behaviors. By the time my hunt came around, it was like, well, you go down low, you go up high, and I'm going to be right here where they like to cross, and it just they happen to cross, you know. So. Cool. It was all the pre-hunt stuff of my brother-in-law's hunt that helped for sure.
Yeah. And so in a hunt like that, all your photography stuff where you're spending days out there with them just photographing.
Yeah.
Were you going to school on what you learned there?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, it's tough. And again, just being totally honest, it's tougher to take photographs of what I'd call truly wild elk or hunted elk. Yeah. Pressured elk that have a lot of pressure. They don't behave the same, right? Yeah. What right? And so if you think about if I was going out into the wild, on a hunting, on a limited entry unit in Utah, and I was calling elk in, and I got a big old bull to come in, as soon as he heard that shutter snap, he's going to come unglued and be out of there, right? So, I try to spend my time with elk that are a little bit more tolerant. Yeah. And deer that are a little more tolerant, so I can actually have that. The time I invest is worth it, if that makes sense.
Right. No, for sure.
It's a little bit different game to try to take photos of wild. What I hunted elk, I'll say that. That's the way to put it.
Elk that have their senses on full alert.
Full alert, exactly.
Huh.
So,
well, you guys have some amazing hunting here in Utah. I feel so blessed that
we do, but being a resident in Utah, it's frustrating. It really is. Because, it is. It's just demand, right? Supply and demand.
I mean, Corey and I did a full podcast about applications in Utah and Nevada, and we lumped them together. Just because we were worried that a lot of people listening who might be traveling hunters who are non-residents to Utah or Nevada look at it and say, well, man, my odds are so slim, and I got to buy here. I think my license fee is $65 non-refundable. Nevada, it's even more.
Yeah.
And so then I'd listen to the podcast. I'm like, man, we almost really bagged on Nevada and Utah, and it's not that at all. It's just the reality of how hard it is to draw a tag.
Correct.
And if you're allocating scarce dollars, where's
the biggest bang for the buck?
There
right?
you go.
Yeah.
That's what we are trying to focus on. But
no, it's reality of it, right? So
Do you ever hunt? I mean, Utah has your over-the-counter general tags.
Yeah,
you ever go to?
Absolutely. So
are they as crowded as everyone tells me? I've never done it.
They're pretty crowded.
Are they?
They're pretty crowded. But
and some of them are spike only, and some are any bull.
So any tag in Utah, you can hunt. You can shoot a cow with your tag.
With your general tag.
With your general tag.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
There are units that are spike only or cow, right?
Yeah.
Or any bull, or a cow, or a spike, right? If it's any bull.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, it's funny, this necklace I'm wearing.
Yeah.
This is my first branch antlered public land bull I ever shot.
Okay.
So, and it was with my bow, and I hunted a lot of years before I kind of started figuring out what elk hunting was all about, right? And so it finally started to come together, and we called this bull in on the last day. Me and my brother-in-law went up on the public unit we were on. The hunt usually ends on a Friday here in Utah, so we knew it'd probably be nobody around. We'd had some pretty good success through that hunt, calling bulls in and stuff. We went up the last day on it's an hour from where we live. We'll give it heck, right? Go give it a shot. We walked out on this ridge line where we knew some elk were. My brother-in-law threw out a bugle. A bull across the canyon popped out, bugled back, and started coming. And literally, with 5 minutes later, he was on the ground. Right? It was one of those. It was like, holy cow! So
cool.
So yeah, I'm actually, so that bull on the Dutton, and I'm not a big score guy, but people use that as a frame of reference, right?
Yeah.
He was about a 360 class bull, so a good bull.
Yeah.
And this bull, I think if I put a tape to him, he's like 170, right? A little branch antlered bull, right? But I'm more proud of that bull because of what it took and all the years of hunting and culmination, what it culminated in, than I am of that, the bigger bull. That means more to me, right? So,
that's such a cool story.
Yeah, it's kind of fun. But so yeah, public land is, if you're a Utah guy, the nice thing is you can just go and buy an over-the-counter tag and go hunt elk. You can. So that opportunity is there. You'll get a lot of pressure, but if you're a meat hunter and you're trying to fill a tag and put some meat in the freezer, it's a good opportunity. Yeah. And those late season cow tags that Utah has are a good opportunity too. Yeah. So, it's really, if you just want to get out and hunt elk, and I think out of state you can just come and buy an over-the-counter tag for public land, so, and it's a good, it's a lot like Colorado that way. It's a good place to come do it. There's crowded. You're gonna have a lot of pressure, but if you're the guy that's willing to get off the road a ways, which I know you are, then you can you can find some elk and you can have some success.
Really? So, well, that's good to know because I'm guilty of probably perpetuating the myth, if you want to call it that. For the non-resident, Utah is nothing but a swing for the fences. Yeah. Say your prayers, send your money off, and hope you win the lottery kind of event. But if it's not that way, that's good for people to know. Yeah.
Well, and on the limited entry units, a lot of them now, which ticks a lot of the limited entry guys off, a lot of those units, not the trophy ones, but the ones for opportunity, you can actually hunt those limited entry units that hold those big bulls for spike and cow only up till the last week of the hunt. So they reserve that last week of the hunt for just the limited entry tag holders. Yeah. But I mean, it's challenging. So if you're the guy that draws the tag, do you want all those other guys on that unit chasing cows and spikes around, right? So I don't know. There's mixed emotions about that, right? But as a guy that wants an opportunity, it's there,
Right. Well, and you have to harvest some of the cows. Sure. If you're going to have true game management, you can't do that by just harvesting bulls. So when are you going to harvest the cows?
And Randy, they taste just as good as those bulls. I'm telling you.
Corey and I, we get so many questions. People reach out to us on the podcast. If you go to elktalkpodcast.com, we have a comment page there, and we take those and we go through them every time. And the number of comments we get about cow elk hunting, we're accumulating them, and we're going to have to do at least one, maybe multiple episodes.
Like against it, for it?
No, for it.
Oh, for it.
Tell me more. Tell me more. I want to go. I want to come do it. So this year in Wyoming, we find out in a couple days what our Wyoming draw results are. Yep. I put my second choice as a unit where I'm pretty much guaranteed to draw and I can shoot a cow.
Oh, that's cool.
Because I want to go down and show people that it's not all about big bulls.
Correct.
I mean, don't get me wrong. If there's a big bull standing there and I got a bull tag, I'm happy to, oblige.
You're going to put a bullet in it. But
I eat a lot of elk meat.
Yep.
And like you said, whether it's a bull or a cow, I can't really tell the difference. Or if I can, the odds are the stuff that was a little tastier and a little more tender was probably the cow.
Yeah. Well, and so for us archery guys, killing a bull elk with a bow, or killing an elk with a bow, is a pretty good feat, right? I mean, it really is. Even if it's a cow or a spike. I mean, it's easier than killing a big old herd bull for sure, right? Yeah. But it's still, I mean, you still got to get in range. You still got to trick them. You still got to trick their senses, all that stuff, right? Yeah. So it can still be a pretty fun hunt. I mean, it really can. And it's an opportunity that's overlooked by a lot of guys. Yeah.
So. In Montana now, our archery tags are either sex in most places. Yeah. So the reason I didn't shoot one last year is I knew I had that bison tag, and I was thinking to myself, boy, I got an awful lot of meat here that I'd be able to fill my freezer quite easily. Yeah. And sorry, guys. How you doing? I watch your videos all the time. Thank you. We're doing a podcast, or I'd visit with you. Yeah, we'll see you. So, thank you. So Jason's probably wondering what's this all about, but
no, I know, I get it.
We're at the Go Hunt booth here doing these podcasts, and there's people here
swinging
at the show who
bugging both of us.
Yeah. But so sorry about those interruptions, folks. Yeah. But sometimes you got to interrupt just to move them along. But I didn't really focus on filling my Montana elk tag I mean, I went out and hunted, don't get me wrong, but I had some opportunities in areas where I could have shot a cow, but so I often wonder, do people see that and say, oh, he's too good to shoot a cow? No, it's not that. It's for me. I get to hunt a lot, and I knew I had that bison tag. I wasn't sure I was going to fill it, but I was hoping I would.
Which is cool that you did. That's awesome.
Yeah, it was so much fun. And then my son had a Wyoming elk. So that's, if people see us passing on cows when we have the opportunity, it's not because it's something we don't.
You're not against it.
No, not at all. I've helped so many people on cow hunts. I think it's great. Yep. I mean, the very first deer I ever shot was a doe. Yeah. And I was so excited as a kid, and I've shot a lot of does in my adult life. So if we get back to the core of why we hunt, and that being food, which it is for me, is there a better place and a better time to be getting that food than when that cow elk is right there in front of you?
It's hard to pass up.
Yeah. So what other things in Utah would you say are maybe unknowns or misconceptions? I mean, you guys got a ton of public land here.
We do. Well, yes. Not as much as some of the other states, right? But we do. Yeah. We have a lot of folks that are trying to get rid of that public land too. So
unfortunately,
you're well aware of that. I know, but
we better not diverge, or we'll hit the ditch with that, because Jason, you follow my stuff. You know, I'm a critic of those people. I'm trying to understand how Utah has so many amazing hunters, so many crazy public land hunters. Yep. But then there's a few crazies in their congressional delegation that want to get rid of public land.
It is a mystery. I mean, because if you talk to the majority of the hunters here that understand the issues, you'll find the same. Everybody's on the same page.
I know.
And I know they're out voting. I know they're active and engaged. It's just the numbers just must be enough that it's just not enough of us to make that difference.
Well, you brought it up, not me.
I know. Well, I mean, that's the big controversy for Utah, I think, right now. Honestly, is we do have so many opportunities, and there's so many people that are out there just trying to take them away. And people need to be aware of that. And I know there's been a lot of talk about it, and I think more and more people are getting aware of it. Yeah. But when you're voting, that should be one of your main concerns if you're a hunter. Yeah. If you're a public land hunter, especially. Yeah.
And I tell people, even if you vote for someone because you got other priorities, I get that. But when that person votes on public land, make sure they know
how you feel.
Exactly. I mean, there's not a perfect solution, but if enough people continually tell that person, this is how I feel about it, maybe they will change their mind.
Yep. So, and you've said it before, just kind of cycles. It seems like it comes up and it gets fought, and fortunately we win the battle, and then it kind of just goes away. Yeah. And then it's 8-10 years go by, and it comes up again, and they're trying to get that land, and so So hopefully we can win this cycle, and we can keep people informed, and that's.
Well, I didn't mean to bring that up and get us on a tangent here, Jason.
It's a good discussion. It really is.
Yeah,
man.
it is. But Utah, at least where I had the tag, I could not believe how much public land there was, and there were really not many hunters. Out there. There were a few people out in the woods.
Yeah.
I was telling some person here earlier. I thought when I had that tag, I was wondering, am I hunting the wrong season dates or what's the deal here? Because you guys manage so conservatively that when you do draw a tag, you might see other people in the woods, but they might be a family member or someone helping.
Sure.
But as far as actual tag holders,
it's pretty slim. Yeah.
really.
It is, and you're right. There is a ton of public land. The elk are around here pretty smart. If they get a little pressure, they know where the private land is. They get a little pressure and they end up, going onto the public land. But what's that? Yeah, we're doing a podcast, so.
Yeah. Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate it. But
yeah, it's just, I don't even know. I lost my train of thought. Sorry.
Yeah, we just got interrupted. We had somebody bring me a cup of coffee.
That was nice.
Rundell. Yeah. And then some guy stopped us. Are you guys podcasting?
Yeah.
We're sitting here with headsets on, a recorder device between us, and we're talking to each other. And people are you guys podcasting? No,
we need a sign.
We need one of those studio recording signs.
In session or something.
Yeah, something like that. But tell me, and this is, I was asking you before the podcast, my son has 15 or 16 points here.
Yep.
And he just likes to go.
Yeah.
To him, the only reason he's got that many points is, well, a combination of two things. When he's in college, all I did was buy a point for him.
Sure.
I didn't even apply. Well, and then he gets to the situation where work and everything else, he can only do one hunt a year.
Yeah.
But your late season hunts are the ones where he would have a pretty good chance of drawing.
Drawing a tag, yeah.
Are they pretty good opportunities?
They can be pretty good. I mean, a lot of the bulls I see getting taken off of those units can be pretty busted up by then, obviously, Yeah. But if you're a guy that doesn't really care about that and you want to go out and have the experience, I mean, as far as which units, I'd be hard pressed to tell you good ones, just because I've never really looked into the details of those late season hunts.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to even. I'd be just winging it.
You'd be making it up.
I'd be making it up a little bit just because I don't know enough about them. But I know there's some good opportunities for sure in the state for.
Well, Trail Kreitzer is from Cedar City. He's
and I was going to say down south, central southern Utah is where I would say that area.
Yep.
But
I talked to him. He's like, "Well, are you going to tell the whole world?"
Yeah.
I'm like, "Well, it's already on your Go Hunt system, right?" He laughed. He's like,
yeah. You got to find it though. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, that's the beauty of Go Hunt. It's there. It's just up to you to find it.
Yep, exactly.
But, no, I love coming to Utah because the people I meet are wonderful people.
Yeah.
And like I was saying, all the public land and the quality of the experiences are really, really good. I'm embarrassed to say this. I did not know how good the Fillmore Oak Creek deer tag is.
Yeah.
The first year I applied for it, I had 4 points or 5 points. Just out of a whim. Oh, what the heck?
Yeah.
I drew the one non-resident tag.
Oh, my heck.
In 2016.
Oh, my heck.
And I think there was one non-resident tag and maybe 4 resident tags.
Yeah, it's pretty slim, yeah.
We hunted there for a week and never saw another hunter.
That's amazing.
We ran into a couple guys who were scouting for someone else, but you talk about a quality experience.
Yeah.
And boy, there were some tremendous deer there. I muffed it.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I shot 2 air balls.
Oh.
In fact, that's a film that we just released out on our Amazon channel, and I watch it. I'm like, I wish Corey was with me. Corey, he's a way better archer than I ever will be.
Was it an archery tag?
Yeah.
Oh, was it? Okay.
Yeah. Oh, if I would have had a rifle tag.
That's what I was wondering.
I don't think those would have been air balls at those distances. But you never know. As big as they were, I could have got excited and missed. But the reason to bring that up is the quality of the experience. If you are the lucky guy.
Sure.
High risk, high reward.
Correct.
Is kind of.
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely. Well, we mentioned it earlier, right? I can't remember, but I know a lot of the limited entry rifle tags in this state are if not 100%, close to 100% success
rates.
You know, so especially those trophy ones where they only give, you know, high quality, high reward.
Right.
So that's why they're so coveted, right? I mean, I get it, but it frustrates a guy that's an archer that, you know, because sees that there potentially could be more potential tags given away if there was, you know, some things done a little differently. You know, and I know a lot of the other states do those things differently, and I'm more than welcome to go to Colorado or to Idaho and do that, right? So, I mean, you know, it is what it is, and they've...
No, I do look at that because you have 100% success rate on those rifle hunts that are in the rut.
Yeah.
How much additional... If you move that towards the end of the rut, I mean, like into October even.
Yep.
How much more archery opportunity? How many more people could you run through the...
Correct, to the point system.
Point system.
And that's what frustrates a lot of the guys is it's this point creep. I mean, I started putting in my kids for tags, you know, for points when they were little, and they have some decent points. I think my oldest boy has 13 points, you know, because I've been putting him in since he was old enough to put in.
Yeah.
You know, and that's not great, but it's not bad. You know, he's kind of in that same range your boy's in. But, you know, will he ever be able to draw a tag? In his situation, he might. Right. But, like, my younger boy, he's only got, like, 6 or 7 points. And the way point creeps work, and, you know, I just don't know. I'm afraid, I've heard you talk about this before. I'm afraid at some point these states that are doing points like that are going to have to just say, you guys, this ain't working anymore. We're just, boom, we're back to zero. We're sorry. But everybody's on the same playing field now. Points are gone. Everybody has the same chance to draw. If you draw, you have your waiting period. You move on, you know, because I just see it. I can see it that it's just going to be almost impossible for some people to even have a chance to draw on a tag.
Especially younger people. And that's where my concern is. If it was just us gray old farts like me, and I can say that because I'm gray as a ghost. If it was just old gray guys who it impacted them, fine. But I worry about the discouragement it has for new hunters, younger hunters. If we always say we want more people to get into hunting.
Absolutely.
These really tightly constrained draw systems stack the deck against those people.
They do.
Corey and I, our next podcast that we're doing on drawing is New Mexico.
Okay.
Well, New Mexico does not have a point system.
Yeah.
So every year, your chance is as good as my chance, and I've been applying there for 20-some years.
Yeah.
And I'm fine with that.
Sure.
Whatever.
Yeah, me too. I mean, especially after seeing what points can do, you know. I mean, in Utah now, even general season deer has become kind of like a draw hunt because of the way they've done it, right? And they're managing the units better. They need to because mule deer need that attention. I mean, I 100% support what they're doing, right? But the hard part is my son who's coming up, and I'm trying to keep him engaged and keep him active in hunting. He's 16 this year, and he's drawn 2 deer tags, and he could start drawing when he was 12.
Yeah.
So that's a general season deer tags. He's only drawn 2 in his life as a young hunter.
Whereas those of us who live in places like Montana, Idaho, Wyoming, or wherever, our kids, any of us, can just go buy our resident deer tag over the counter, and by the time a kid's 16, he or she has hunted 4 or 5 deer seasons already.
Correct. Yeah. So
that's a challenge. I wish I knew what the answer
was. Me too.
I really
I got to be careful. I mean, like I said, if I want that opportunity for my son, I can drive to Idaho. I can buy an over-the-counter deer tag. And we can go hunting. You know, so it's not that there's not opportunity out there, but if you're wanting to try to stay local and somewhere close to home, you know, makes it in budgets and so on. It makes it more difficult.
Kids out of school,
time off of work and all that stuff. So you know, it all plays into it. But.
So how old are your kids?
So my youngest boy is 15. He'll be 16 this year, and my daughter's 20 or 19, 20, 19, and my oldest boy's 22.
Okay.
So,
any tidbits of advice for the audience to keep your kids into hunting so that the video games or the whatever distraction in life doesn't outcompete?
I'll tell you what. So, in my experience, my youngest boy, he's pretty big into video games, right? But for me, it's all about just taking them out when they're young and just being, you know, having that be part of what you do. It's part of what I did. It's part of my dad was dragging me around the elk woods when I was 3 years old. He called me his little mini elk herd. I know he missed a ton of opportunities because of it, but I'll never forget those moments I had, right, with my dad. So hopefully my kids feel the same way. I've been dragging them around the elk woods ever since they were 3 years old, and the same thing. And I know I missed opportunities, but I don't care. It's not why I was doing it.
Right.
I was doing it because, to me, that's the most valuable quality time a guy can have with his kids.
Yeah.
That's what it's about.
And I tried this on my son when he was a young one, because it was really big to me. If my dad or uncles, we were going camping as part of a hunting or fishing trip, that was way more appealing to me than if we were doing a day hunt or a day fishing trip. The camping part was just, it was cool. It was intriguing. And all my friends at school were, oh, you stayed in a tent? Yeah. Oh, you guys cooked over an open fire? Yeah. And at the time, it really didn't dawn on me how that was affecting me.
Yeah.
So I started taking my son out for the specific purpose of this is going to be a camp out one.
Yeah, yeah.
And we did it a lot with fishing. And he loved it. He'd say, well, Dad, are we camping? That was usually the first question. And then for his birthday, which is always in May, I'd tell his buddies, however many of you I can fit in the truck. Yeah. We're going camping for the whole weekend and we're fishing. And those kids, it became a big priority for those kids. They'd see me, Mr. Newberg, do I get to go camping again this year? I was surprised how many of these kids had never camped.
They love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they'd never done it before. So for me, I think there's a lot of ways to get kids interested and keep them interested.
Sure.
That isn't necessarily, oh, you got to draw a Henry's Mountain deer tag.
Absolutely.
To do it.
That's a really good point. Off-season stuff, right? Scouting, going out and doing that, fishing, camping in general, just being outside. Yeah. Four-wheelers. I mean, we love four-wheelers. We go down and ride trail systems down in southern Utah all the time. Yeah. So, we're always doing those kind of things. And you're right, the big part of that is the camping piece. Those experiences, they just don't forget. They're not going to remember the TV show they watched the other night. No. They're going to remember the time they were camping and we got hailed on, or whatever, right? Even though it was miserable at the time, you remember that stuff, you know? So, yeah.
Well, for me, also, my son, I told him you're in charge of the photography. So if Matthew was on this podcast, you guys would be nerding out on
that would be
lenses and exposures and f-stops and everything else. That kid is tighter than tight until it comes to photography equipment. Yeah. He got, every time Sony comes out with a new mirrorless camera, what's the new one, like
the A7R3 or whatever it is.
He's got that. Yeah. He's got a selection of lenses, but I think back to it, almost all the really good images we have while out fishing and hunting are his. Yeah. And now it's taking him into now that he's 28, it's an adult passion of his that really parallels the hunting that we do. Yeah. When he was home over Christmas and we were out duck hunting, and he saw me trying to get some images, and he's like, Dad, just get out of the way. Just okay.
Here, give me that.
Yeah. But photography, I think, is a very good parallel to hunting, and it gets people out in the woods. It gets you
get you engaged in it, right? Doing something other than, and then the other side of that is you still have the computer involved because you still have to go sit in front of that monitor and do editing, right? And that's a part that, you can love and hate. I have kind of a love-hate relationship with it personally, but But, that's a good point. So my son, my youngest guy, he's come with me on a few of my adventures, and he's gotten kind of engaged in it. He actually looks forward to it. He'll ask me if he can go. And he's really kind of digging the video side of it. And so it's been something that I've been thinking about more of as I do my thing, having him tag along, videoing me doing my thing, videoing the animals. There's been some things, and it's awesome. It's like, hey, maybe that's how him and I have that connection, or how we, enjoy the outdoors together, and because of the situation with drawn tags or whatever, So
well, Matthew was always into video also, and he was the teacher's assistant in the high school video editing class all through high school.
Oh yeah,
that's how my platform started.
Oh wow.
One day I'm really sick. I'm on the couch. Recovering from some liver problems, and he's playing cribbage with me, and I can tell you this, that at the time, watching lots of outdoor TV, binge watching outdoor TV was not therapeutic. And I said something about, some snide comment probably about how it's never like we hunt, it's never public land, it's never self-guided. Yeah. And he says, well, Dad, we could do better than them. I said, yeah, that's why I'm on the couch and they're on TV. So in this over-medicated state, he convinces me, and you know B&H photography.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, if you're in the
just ordered something yesterday.
Yeah. So all of us in the video photography world, B&H is on our thumbnail or our bookmarks.
Yep, exactly.
So I come down about a week later, and here are boxes of stuff that B&H photo. I'm like, what is all this? And my wife says, well, Matthew said you guys needed this. You're going to get into the DVD business. That's how long ago it was DVD. And so there was everything. At the time, HD cameras, video was just coming out. Yeah. Oh, yeah, I got to have that, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Well, if I would have done that, I would have never made it to my 30th wedding anniversary. But the point of it was, between Matthew and some friends, we were filming each other. And Matthew really enjoyed that part of it.
Yeah.
And it was another part of the whole experience that, okay, he's got football, he's got karate, he's got hockey, he's got all these other competing interests.
Yeah.
But it was very obvious to me that being behind a camera was something he really got into.
Yeah.
Whereas if I would have said, hey, it's 0 degrees today, you want to go elk hunting? He might have said, like a lot of teenagers, tomorrow.
Yeah. Yeah.
But hey, you want to go film today?
Yeah.
I'm going to go elk hunting.
Oh, yeah. I'm all about it. Yeah.
So I know that
I actually didn't know that. That's really cool.
Yeah, that's how this all got started.
Wow.
And then he, after 3 years of filming each other and friends filming us, he put together what's called a sizzle reel. And the sizzle reel, I took it to the SHOT Show, 2007, and I got laughed out. They're like, good luck with that, son. Went to the SHOT Show 2008, got laughed out. Good luck with that. Public land, self-guided, ha, ha, ha. So I folded up the tent.
Wow.
Yeah, I was like, well, and Matthew was heading off to college. I said, well, heck with it. We sold all of our cameras. We got out of it. And then a production company heard that we had this.
Yeah.
And it happened to be a friend of mine. I didn't know he was getting in the outdoor production business. Mark Pierce was his name. He owns Warm Springs Productions. They now produce Mountain Man and a bunch of those big time shows.
Yeah.
He called me and said, hey, I hear you have all this video footage. I'm like, yeah, why do you care? He said, and he lives in the Bozeman area. He said, I'm going to swing by your office. I hear you got a cool sizzle reel. All right. He swings by my CPA firm. I give it to him. 2 days later, he's got me on a speakerphone with his editors. This is it. This is the show this is the silver bullet that everyone's been talking about and blah, blah, blah. And if anyone can do it, it's you. I'm like, Mark, I'm out of the business. I sold my cameras. I'm done. So eventually he talked me into it. And
that's a cool story. I didn't actually know that's how this all came about.
That's how it started. And here's the funny part. People laugh about this. He said, I've got one show. I need 2 shows to really make this work. He said, I got my friends, these crazy guys. You might have heard of them. They're like these big bearded dudes from Louisiana. All they do is duck hunt. And I'm like, yeah, I've heard of them. Obviously, we all know it was the Duck Commander, Duck Dynasty. Well, we shared production companies for the first 3 years.
Oh, wow.
It was Mark's production company. And then when they went to big time, they had to get the network required them to use their production company. But anyhow, so that's how I got into it. And it was all because Matthew had such a keen interest in photographing and filming anything we were doing that was outdoor related.
Yeah, that's cool.
So,
and he's still into it.
Oh yeah, he's still into it.
Very engaged in it.
Oh yeah, very engaged. So
what a cool way to have that connection with your kid, right?
Yeah. You never know. It's just one of those things where, however we could spend time together, and I wanted to make it fun for him. Yeah. That's the point I guess I'm getting to with this whole discussion is, it didn't have to be like you were saying about you scared some elk away from your dad.
Sure.
I knew that there were times doing it in a way that a kid would enjoy it. I wasn't going to climb 3,000 vertical feet that day.
Sure.
I wasn't going to go sit on a rock when it's 0 degrees and 20 mile an hour wind and glass from daylight till dark.
Sure. Yep.
But it was an investment. And now I look at where it's taken us in that investment by making it fun for him when he was a skeever. I mean, a skeever.
Just a little dude, The very first time we went out, I still remember it.
he'd got a chocolate lab for his 4th birthday.
Oh, cool.
Well, when the next hunting season, he was 5. A bunch of my buddies invited me on a pheasant hunt in eastern Montana, and he's like, well, Dad, he heard him invite me. He's like, I thought we were going pheasant hunting tomorrow with Copper, his new dog.
Yeah.
And it was just absolutely miserable, terrible.
Yeah.
And I woke him up. I'm like, you sure you want to go? Yep. So we went. Mm-hmm. The dog flushes. One rooster, I shoot it. It's like the day was meant to happen.
Yeah.
That kid is soaking wet. It's maybe 40 degrees, miserable.
Miserable conditions, yeah.
But his dog retrieved a pheasant. He
was on cloud 9.
Yeah. And so I think back to that day. It's one of my fondest days of
time
being
in the field
out there. And I know in elk hunting, it's more intense than like that pheasant hunting or fishing. But
sure,
I think there's ways we can do it.
Absolutely.
To get them in there. And that's why you probably weren't prepared for me to put you on the spot.
No, that's fine, man. I'm telling you, that's what it's all about for me. That's what hunting's always been for me, is time with my family and friends.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just, would I like to have the meat in the freezer and those, trophies? Absolutely.
Yeah.
But to me, those are just the benefits, the pluses. What it's all about is that, that time and that investment in those relationships.
Right. So. And to me, that's really how I looked at it, is not a financial investment, but if I can't invest some of my time, then I'm probably not going to get much of a return out of that down the road. And now I see how much fun we have together, and I'm sure you see it with your kids. It's
worth every second.
Every second.
And I almost wish you could have done more.
Yeah.
That's how I feel. But
Well, Jason, what do you want to leave the audience with? Anything special? Anything?
I don't know. Just if we want to go try this stuff, if you want to try photography, I tell guys all the time, just reach out to me. I'm more than happy to try to help a guy out.
Where can they reach you at?
Through my Instagram, direct message me, or my Facebook page or whatever. Just contact me.
Instagram is
Untamed Images by JL is my actual Instagram account.
Okay.
My Facebook is the same. It's Untamed Images by Jason Loftus on Facebook.
Yeah.
But if you type in Untamed Images, you'll find me.
Okay.
And then just DM me, reach out to me. I'll try to help anybody I can. I mean, I had guys reach out to me and help me. So I try to pass it forward a little bit. So and just do it. If you think you want to try it, you don't have to invest a ton of money. Just get out there and try it.
And the beauty of today is it's not like you have to go and pay Walmart to develop your negatives.
It's all free. I mean, that's part of the problem, right? I'll get out in the field and I'll take 1,500 images on a shoot, and then it's like, now I got to go look through all these things and decide which one I want. But but it's free,
right? So the requirement to do it now, compared to what it was 20 years ago.
Completely different.
Some people listening to this podcast probably don't realize that there was a time you had this little canister that had a roll of film in there that you had to load in the back of the camera, and you bought either 24 images or 36 images on a film.
And you had to buy the right ISO that you wanted.
Oh, yeah. And then you would to take it out of the camera, you'd go down to Walmart or wherever, and you'd get it. They'd develop it, and maybe in a day or two, you'd come pick it up, and you'd open the envelope like,
what did I get? Yeah.
One of them's in focus.
Yeah, exactly. Well, out of 24, I got one.
And it cost you a ton of money.
Yeah.
So some of us old guys like me, I think we still carry that bad habit of thinking that these megabytes cost us money.
Yeah.
They don't.
No.
So
and memory's so cheap now. I mean, really is. It's crazy where technology's come. So, you can go out and just take a ton of photos and just have fun, and it's not going to cost you anything other than your time. Right. So, and the elk hunting, the same thing. There's plenty of opportunity. You guys have covered it on your show many times. The opportunity's out there, and you just got to be willing to, invest the time and the energy into doing it. To me, it's all about the family time and the time with friends and family. So if you want to have those experiences, go have them. What are you waiting for?
Don't wait. No. I always tell people, if you wait, there's no guarantees for tomorrow. We all know people who said, I'll do that next year. And they didn't. They're not here.
And the whole public lands thing, go use them. You're a landowner. You're a public landowner. I tag a lot of my images with that, and it's because I don't get to go take those photos without being a public landowner.
Right.
So I benefit tremendously from it. So be aware of that, support it, fight it. You know,
I like that.
Yeah.
All right,
So,
I can't come up with a better close than that, Jason. you maybe you ought to take over this podcast.
Right, yeah.
So, well, thanks for your time.
No, thank you. Thanks for having me.
You're on a schedule. I'm on a schedule.
Yes,
so
sir.
it's
been fun.
We'll wrap this up, and the next time we'll get here's the deal.
Okay.
Next one we'll do is when my son draws and burns his Utah points.
Yeah.
You'll come to our camp,
That would
and
be
we'll do a
amazing.
podcast from camp.
That would be awesome.
That work?
I'd do it.
All right.
Let me know. Thanks, Randy. Appreciate
Great.
you, man.
Thank you, Jason. Appreciate it.
Right.
Have a great show.
Thanks
For listening, folks.